It was a Tuesday night in November, the kind of cold that bites right through your jacket. Rain came down in sheets over the quiet streets of Millbrook, a mid-sized city where everybody thought they knew everybody else's business. 16-year-old Emma Hayes stood on the front porch of the only home she had ever known, clutching a small backpack to her chest. Inside it, 2 changes of clothes, a phone with a cracked screen, and $7 in crumpled bills. Behind her, the door slammed shut. Her stepmother's voice cut through the sound of the rain. "You are no longer part of this family. Don't come back." Emma turned to look at her father through the narrow window beside the door. He was standing in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes aimed at the floor. She waited. She willed him to look up, to say something, anything. He never did. She stepped off the porch and walked into the dark. For 2 hours, Emma wandered without direction. She passed closed storefronts and empty parking lots, her sneakers soaking through at the seams. Eventually, she found shelter at an old bus stop on the corner of 5th and Granger, a cracked plastic bench under a rusted overhang, and sat down. She told herself she wouldn't cry. She cried anyway. Then she heard it, a small, broken sound, almost swallowed by the rain. A little girl, no older than 5, stood a few feet away on the sidewalk. She was wearing a pink raincoat, her face red and streaked with tears. "I can't find my mommy," she whimpered. Emma wiped her own face and stood up. She crouched down to the girl's level, keeping her voice calm and steady. Hey, look at me. What's your name?" "Lily." "Okay, Lily, I'm Emma. I'm not going anywhere, all right? We're going to find your mom together." She sat with the girl on the bench, kept her talking, kept her warm under her own jacket. 20 minutes passed. Then headlights swept across the sidewalk as a black SUV pulled to the curb. The door flew open before the car had fully stopped. A woman in a tailored coat ran toward them, dropping to her knees on the wet pavement to pull the little girl into her arms. She held her for a long moment, shaking. When she finally stood, her eyes found Emma's. They were sharp, intelligent eyes, the kind that missed nothing. "You stayed with her," the woman said. It wasn't a question. "She was scared," Emma said simply. The woman reached into her coat pocket and produced a business card. She held it out. "Sophia Carter, Chief Executive Officer, Carter Group." "Come to my office tomorrow morning," she said. "Ask for me directly." She paused, then added, "I mean it." Emma looked down at the card in her wet hand. She had no idea that a small rectangle of cardstock was about to rewrite the entire story of her life. The next morning, Emma stood in the marble lobby of the Carter Group Tower, 42 floors of glass and steel in the heart of downtown Millbrook. Her jeans were clean, but faded. Her jacket was still damp. A few people near the reception desk glanced over and looked away quickly, the way people do when they've already made up their mind about someone. The receptionist smiled in that particular way that isn't really a smile. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Sophia Carter." A short pause, a slight lift of one eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" "She gave me her card last night." Someone nearby snickered. The receptionist opened her mouth to respond, and then the elevator behind her opened with a soft chime. Sophia Carter stepped out, already in motion, already scanning the room. Her eyes landed on Emma, and her stride didn't break. She crossed the lobby and stood beside Emma, facing the room. "Good morning, everyone," her voice carried without being raised. "This is Emma Hayes. She'll be joining us as my personal assistant, effective today." She glanced at the receptionist. "Please have a badge ready within the hour." The lobby went quiet enough to hear the rain on the windows. Emma worked harder than anyone asked her to. She arrived before the building opened and stayed after the cleaning crew left. She studied every report, learned every system, memorized every name. But it didn't take long for the resentment to start. Her files went missing the morning of big presentations. Errors that other people made were casually redirected her way in meetings. She overheard things in the break room that she was meant to overhear. Sophia noticed. She said nothing, but she noticed. Then came the Thursday afternoon that changed everything. A security vulnerability cascaded through Carter Group's entire network. Client data at risk, transactions suspended. Senior engineers gathered in the server room, talking over each other, visibly panicked. 3 hours in, nothing had been fixed. Emma had been watching quietly from a corner of the room. Finally, she sat down at an open workstation. Nobody stopped her, mostly because nobody was paying attention to her. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. She didn't explain what she was doing. She just did it. 9 minutes later, the network came back online. The room was completely still. Sophia, standing in the doorway, looked at Emma for a long moment. Then she said, quiet enough that only Emma could hear, "You're not who they think you are." Emma wasn't sure what that meant yet, but she was about to find out. That night, she got a call from a number she didn't recognize. A man's voice, older, careful. "If you want to know the truth about where you come from, meet me tomorrow night. The old St. Augustine's Church on Millbrook Road, 10 o'clock. He hung up before she could respond. Emma didn't sleep. The next night, she pushed open the heavy door of the abandoned church and stepped inside. Candles lined the window ledges. An old man sat in the front pew, a manila envelope on his lap. He looked up at her as if he'd been expecting her for years. Without a word, he opened the envelope and handed her a photograph. A little girl at a birthday party, pink cake, yellow balloons. She was laughing at the camera. Emma's heart stopped. The little girl looked exactly like her. "What is this?" she whispered. 16 years ago, the old man said, there was a car accident on Route 9. A family was separated. A 2-year-old girl disappeared in the chaos. Hospitals, shelters, bureaucratic confusion. She was never found. He paused. "Until now. That can't be me. Your DNA will say otherwise." He met her eyes. "Your biological father has been looking for you since the night it happened. His name is Daniel Brooks." The name landed like a stone. Daniel Brooks. Even Emma knew that name. Half the buildings downtown had it on a plaque somewhere. Before she could form another question, the church doors burst open. 3 men in dark clothing moved fast up the aisle. "The photograph? Hand it over." Emma ran. She shoved through a side door into the alley behind the church, rain coming down hard again. She hit the street and a black SUV pulled up alongside her. The window came down. "Sophia, get in the car, Emma, now." 2 weeks later, a court-ordered DNA test came back with a result that nobody in Millbrook could stop talking about. Emma Hayes was Emma Brooks, the long-missing daughter of Daniel Brooks, one of the wealthiest men in the state. The same co-workers who had hidden her files now held doors open for her. The receptionist, who had smirked at her damp jacket now, greeted her by name with a full smile. Emma accepted it all quietly, without satisfaction and without bitterness. She understood now that people were complicated, and that compassion was not the same thing as naivety. She went back to the house on Delaney Street one last time. Her stepmother stood in the kitchen, unable to look up. Her father sat at the table where he'd eaten breakfast every morning of Emma's childhood. And when he finally raised his eyes, they were wet. "I'm sorry," he said. His voice cracked on the second word. "I was weak. I let you down. I'll spend the rest of my life knowing that." Emma stood in the doorway for a moment. She thought about the bus stop, the cracked bench in the rain, the $7, the years of small cruelties inside this house. Then she let out a slow breath. "I can't undo what happened," she said, "and I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt." She paused. "But I'm not carrying that into the rest of my life. That's not the person I want to be." She turned and walked out. 5 years later, Emma Brooks was named CEO of Carter Group at 21, the youngest in the company's history. Sophia had mentored her, challenged her, and ultimately trusted her completely. One evening in November, a Tuesday, cold and rainy, the kind that bites right through your jacket, Emma was driving home when she saw a teenage girl sitting alone at the bus stop on 5th and Granger, backpack on her lap, shoulders shaking. She got out of the car and draped her coat around the girl's shoulders. The girl looked up, startled. "Why are you doing that?" she asked. Emma sat down beside her on the bench. "Because a long time ago, I was sitting exactly where you are right now, and someone stopped. The rain slowed, then it stopped altogether. Above the city, the clouds began to thin, and the first stars appeared in the gaps between them. For the first time in a very long time, Emma felt like herself, fully, completely, without apology, and that was enough.